Welcome to Theater of the Mind. My name is David R. Lewis. I'm a writer of short stories and novels, including mystery and suspense, paranormal, and westerns. I also perform a number of my stories and novels as e-audiobooks. The logical extension of all that was to inflict myself upon the world through the magic of YouTube. I invite you to join me for videos of some of my audio work, my take on writing, heartland memories from my youth and childhood, as well as questions and answers. Let's jump in with a heartland memory. We'll go back in time a few decades and see what it was like to be inside the ice. In the part of the American heartland where I grew up, there was a wintertime saying, "Ain't nothing between here and the North Pole but one barbed wire fence, and it's down." It got cold, and it stayed cold. It was not the bone-numbing chill of North Dakota, but it was cold enough that many a complicated snow fort built in early December was still an effective battlement 2 months later. Christmas was always white and the lake ice thick enough to support tractors. Then, one wonderful January, the town's water tower froze. The big people said that it was an exceptionally cold winter. To my third-grade cronies and me, winter was winter. In those days before Thinsulate and Gore-Tex, little kids were cold all winter long. It was the price we gladly paid for snow. But that particular winter, the lake ice reached nearly 30 inches thick, and the town's water tower froze. It caused a big flap among the adults. Such an event had never happened before. Our small town had only one tower in the entire water system. And melting snow for drinking water is a slow job with little return. Everyone assumed the heater in the tank atop the 80-foot tower had given up the ghost. Something had to be done. A disaster like this should never have happened and must never happen again. But to us, the little kids, a fairy tale had grown from the snow in our tiny city park. When the water froze, a portion of the tank's top was displaced, and unfrozen water cascaded slowly down all sides of the tower, freezing to the legs and support columns as it went. An 80-foot stalagmite of crystal clear ice was formed, tapering upward from a 40-foot base to the tank high overhead, and we kids, squeezing through fissures, could get inside into a room-sized interior. Ice walls were a foot or two thick, refracting light as a prism does, blues, pinks, greens, sparkling with distortions, dazzling to view the sun through, amazing to watch the colors splash on friends' faces as we stood inside a frozen crystal. It was a wonderful experience, etheric, nearly profound in some ways. There was no kidhood horseplay there, no pushing, no shoving, no shouting. Wrapped in those crystal walls, such behavior was beyond us. Inside our frozen cathedral, we barely even spoke. Superman's fortress of solitude couldn't compare to what we had. We would slip quietly inside, sit on the snow, and just look at it. Every view was different. Each moment changed the angle of the sun, and the colors mutated and shifted with its passing, ever and never the same. Those of us that spent time there were changed during the hours we were inside. Everything was so simple, so calming, so lovely. I believe our kid egos were pushed aside by that experience, and many of us reached a state of near meditation. Anything that can keep a gang of 8 or 10-year-olds silent and still for hours at a time must reach something deep inside those children. On the second day of the event, before the city employees ran us off and destroyed all that beauty, the Methodist minister came walking by and asked if he could join us. We made room, and he sat in silence with our little group for a time. As he finally rose to leave, one of the girls asked him if this was what heaven looked like. His face was gentle and serious when he spoke to her. "My God, I hope so," he said. To this day, I believe his reply was totally honest. It is said that we need to come to the truth as a small child. And as children, we came to the tower. It may not have been a religious experience, but it certainly was spiritual. It wasn't heaven, but it was close enough for a group of small children sitting on the snow inside the ice. At least, that's how it seems to me. I'm David R. Lewis. Thanks for dropping by Theater of the Mind and letting me share a Heartland memory.